Lynette, we're so excited to have you on today's episode and to learn more about your career journey. So, thank you for being here. It's lovely to meet you. I'm going to jump right into our first question for you today, Lynette. So, we're intrigued by your journey and your professional growth. Let's start from the very beginning. How did your experiences pave the way to your present position and lead you to where you are today?
Thanks so much, Sophie, for having me today. I'm more than happy to again share my career experiences. So my journey, I'd say, began in 2014. So I came to Canada in 2014 after finishing my high school in Kenya. I went to UBC here in Vancouver. I was able to get a full scholarship at UBC. I did economics. So my background is I have a Bachelor of Art in economics. And my degree just allowed me to explore options because when you do economics, it's not specific to a specific industry unless you decide to do a master's in economics and then becoming an economist. But just a Bachelor of Arts in economics doesn't give you the title of an economist. So I did different courses in school. I also did some business classes. So I think my degree kind of just allowed me to explore, just learn as much as I could. And then after college, that's when the career journey began. That's when I was like, okay, now I need to find out exactly what am I passionate about. I knew I wanted to get into finance, but I didn't know exactly where in finance I wanted to get into. I think my college experience has really helped in terms of getting my resume seen. Having that college degree from UBC, I think it really intrigues employers, so that has shaped my experience in my career.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine that a Bachelor of Economics leads to a lot of different things. So it's really interesting to see where that took you post-secondary and led you to your current role. So reflecting more on that, how does your journey differ from your initial expectations? Did you always anticipate pursuing this specific career path, or did your ambitions evolve along the way in your post-secondary experience?
I'd say that my ambitions have evolved the last 5 years because I did graduate in 2018. So it's been like almost 5 years now. Time goes by so quickly. I knew that I wanted to get into the finance industry. I didn't know exactly where in finance industry I wanted to get into. My first job actually after college was in a fintech company. So financial technology company. It was a startup here in Vancouver. I took the job because I was like, okay, it does align with my goal. I love talking about money. I love, helping other people understand money. So my first job was in a fintech company. I was doing customer service, basically. I wasn't doing any finance, but giving a financial product to consumers, but I was more of like the customer service person. I wasn't a financial analyst or anything. But those experience over time is what has allowed me to now get into my position as an investment advisor at TD. I knew what my goal was. I took every opportunity that came my way, hoping that it's going to lead me to my goal of being in the finance industry and now banking because I'm in the bank.
Definitely. Yeah, it's nice to know that your goals sort of ended up being very similar to what you achieved and that you must be very proud of that. So you've also achieved success in a variety of roles, from being a residence advisor at UBC, a customer success specialist at Instant Financial, a member services administrator at Doctors of BC, a financial advisor at CIBC, and to finally your current role serving as an investment specialist at TD. So, all that being said, could you share how you managed to transition from one role to the next and how you knew that you were ready for the change?
Sure, I know my resume looks like it's a long list. It just shows that I've been changing companies a lot because I've only been working for 5 years now since 2018. So, in terms of being able to transition, my first job, I wasn't successful at that job. So, I ended up getting laid off. So, I didn't leave on my own accord. But
Mhm.
again, leaving that job allowed me to transition and get another job working as an administrator for Doctors of BC. Basically, I'd say it's a bit of admin work and also still customer service. I love to talk to people. And so I think working as a residence advisor is all about people. What I've realized in my career is that every job that I've had has had interacting with people. So relationship management as an advisor, you interact with like students on campus. As a customer success specialist, doing customer service and you need to talk about the company's product to the customers. And now I also work with doctors, similar thing. Like I was doing customer service in everything in my career. I think the one thing that stands out is that my customer service skills and my relationship management skills has been the catalyst of the change. I think I used my customer service skills to get to the next role. And in your career, you want to be moving up and up. And now working in banking, I still use my skills that I learned as a residence advisor in my banking. Because again, having a career is all about people. And I think that's the skill that I've honed over the last 5 years to allow me to transition from one role to the next. Transitioning to banking was always the goal for me. So I knew I was ready to leave my job at Doctors of BC, for example, to go into banking because that was always my dream. So it was just like me working towards that. And I'm happy that I did that. And that's what I'm doing right now.
It's nice that you've drawn those parallels between all of those different roles and that you used what you were passionate about to move on to the next thing. So that's really great insight there. We were curious to know what inspires and propels you during your day-to-day responsibilities as an investment specialist at TD. And I'm wondering if there's similarities between those roles and sources of motivations that you've experienced, as well as that customer service aspect that you mentioned.
In terms of my current role, what really propels me is that I've always had a curious mindset. So I grew up in Kenya most of my life. I came to Canada when I was 18. But the one thing that has allowed me to move from one step to another is just my curiosity. And so now, as an investment specialist, my job is to give financial advice to customers, to Canadians. And when you want to give financial advice, I think my strategy is always to understand what's the customer's pain point. So that's where the curiosity comes in. Okay, so I meet a client and I'm like, what are your short term and long term goals in terms of your money? It's not about recommending a product. I think for me, it's always about being curious about the person that's in front of me. And then from that curiosity, I want to now solve the problem. Having a degree in economics kind of allows you to be a problem solver and also just naturally a curious person. And that allows me to want to know more people, want to talk to people every day. It can be draining. I'm not going to lie, because it's you're taking people's problem every day. But I think I've learned how to leave work at work, and when I go home, I'm able to do other things. What propels me every day is just meeting people. I meet so many people. They have so many interesting stories. I love talking to people. I'm a curious person, so just like people, they motivate me. And just knowing that I've helped someone buy a house, for my advice has allowed someone to pay for their kids' education. I think that the journey of meeting people and working with them towards a dream really just it excites me and allows me to enjoy my job.
Yeah, definitely. I can see how that aspect of helping people would really motivate one in their current role. And I like that you also mentioned curiosity a lot. I think that's a really important trait to encourage young people to explore, especially with their career, which is a lot of our listeners for this podcast. So I like that this all ties into curiosity. So that answers the last question. And we have one more question for you today, Lynette. It can be a little bit difficult to answer, but I think it's a really important question to touch on. So if given the opportunity, what's something that you feel you would have done differently in your career path, or what advice do you wish that someone had given to you at a young age?
The one thing I wish I did do was do internships. So I didn't do any internships in college when I was in Canada, just because I didn't realize how important it was. I think when I was in college, I was focusing on getting my education. And then as a student, you can be so shielded from what happens outside of your college. But then at the same time, I think knowing that I didn't have that internship allowed me to now realize that I needed to work twice as hard to be able to get a job. Things will have been easy, but I'm happy that it allowed me to realize how important whatever you do matters. When you're in college, think about, where am I in college? Like, what am I trying to achieve? When you're young, it can be so difficult. I mean, I'm still young. It can be so difficult to plan out your entire career. But I think the advice I'd give someone at a young age is be curious, try things, apply for those jobs. Even if you're not that qualified, you don't have to have everything figured out. Put yourself out there, go to networking events, because that's how I was able to get my job in my first role in banking. I went to a networking event, I talked to someone, I was out there, and they believe in me and give me an opportunity. Go out there, network, talk to people, because then that's how you open doors for yourself. That will be my advice.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's a really important thing to be able to give youth on the listeners of this podcast. It's a difficult to navigate time for most of them, I'm sure. So I'm sure that will really help a lot of them. So thank you for sharing that. And that's our last question for you today. As I said, I'm sure our listeners will really benefit from all of your career insights, and we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Sophie.